everyone, and to Prof. Maya Dr. Samhalia. We are from Group 7 and our topic is Stagecoach Group UK. Now, please allow me to introduce our group. First one is me. I'm called Anting and my metric number is 2842X7. Beside me is Samira and her metric number is 280637. Mohammad Danish Irfan and his metric number is 280921. Below me is Aida Fajiha and her metric number is 280050. And last one is Nurin Diana Afrina and her metric number is 287943. Now let me brief the background of Stagecoach Group. It's one of the most well-known public transportation companies in the UK, having served out for over 42 years and established by Brian Sutter and Groet and Loving Groet on 1980. The group consists of 24,000 strong workforce and 8,300 buses, coaches and trains are an integrated part of life in England, Scotland and Wales, as it is a significant multimodal UK public transportation firm. Stagecoach is the largest bus and coach company in the UK. In London, Manchester, Liverpool, Newcastle, Hull, Sheffield, Oxford and Cambridge. They operate large city bus operation as well as interurban routes connecting smaller towns. Meanwhile, they run megabus.com, a low-cost coach service in the UK, and Scottish CityLink, Scotland's largest coach operator, as a joint venture.
The Chronology Scandal for the year of 2011 until 2012 was about a complete tax avoidance scheme used by Stagecoach to seize £11 million on its tax base has been defended in the tax court. The case involved the interpretation of historical and technical issues that are no longer relevant under current legislation, and Stagecoach is not required to pay any additional tax because of the ruling. Next, a history transaction involves Stagecoach's investment in its subsidiary, and the first tier tribunal ruling did not call into the question the commercial basis of those transactions. HMRC stated that the ruling on Monday will affect 11 other companies in similar situations. Besides, tax inspector has already recovered £485 million in tax and interest from 16 other organizations that use similar scams to avoid paying tax. According to the court, we will not advise clients to enter transactions for the sole purpose of attaining a tax advantage, which is currently contrary to the intention of Parliament in enacting the relevant legislation, and we will not act as a mere advocate of tax planning structure or management. KPMG declined to answer questions about the Stagecoach tax scam on Monday, citing the inability to comment on specific client situations, particularly those that are the subject of litigation. In 2017, it was refunded £2.2 million in several agreement for planning its audit of Stagecoach. The Financial Reporting Council of the UK also imposed a £70,000 fine on several agreement of not having the former head of EVA Scottish Business and the partner in charge of reviewing Stagecoach financial statement. The fine admit to finding in 3 areas of the audit of nation to the company defined benefit, partial scam provision for accident related insurance claim, and onerous contract provision on one of Stagecoach's franchises. The accounting regulator imposed a fine of £3.4 million, which were reduced to slightly more than £2.2 million because EVA actually addressed regulation into the fund and supervision as result in any resolution of the case. EVA was also given several agreements and will be required to report to the FRC for a year regarding audit work performed on alleged contract provision. Following the regulator and quality check on the cycle of alleged company audit, the case was forwarded to the FRC for motivation. The fund imposed on EVA was the largest it has ever imposed in case directly to its investor, but equality checking team. Auditors have taken the FRC quality check believe they have become about taking exercise that fail to focus on key risks to the investor.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Danish Irfan Nashiruddin and my metric number is 280921. I will be explaining about Analyze Scandal and its consequence. For shortcoming in its audit of transportation company Stagecoach Group PLC, the United Kingdom's accounting authority sanctioned Ernst & Young LLP and a former partner at the firm. According to the FRC, the Big Four business failed to gather adequate evidence and dispute the material assumptions that underpin Stagecoach's financial statement. Stagecoach, based in Perth, Scotland, clarified that the investigation was not an examination of the company's account. The fine comes barely a month after the Financial Reporting Council (FRC) stated that recent audits conducted by the Big Four accounting firms in the United Kingdom failed to meet the FRC quality standards. Next, I will be explaining about impact of the scandal. The impact of the scandal to the internal auditors and employees are, in the scandal case, they had no direct responsibilities and they were not involved in the scandal. While for the external auditors, the first is Ernst & Young LLP. Financial Reporting Council penalized EY $2.2 million or $3.02 million on Wednesday for what it called several audit failures. The sanction was decreased from $3.5 million due to mitigating factors such as the firm's acknowledgement and cooperation. It was also stated that EY will continue to serve as the company's auditor. Next is Mark Harvey, a former EY partner. He was penalized by the FRC for his role in the Stagecoach audit. For his admission and cooperation, his fine was reduced from $1,000 to $70. According to the audit firm, Mr. Harvey left EY a year ago. He didn't react to a request for comment right away.
Next, we will present the auditor responsibility in detecting the fraud. The first auditor responsibility is to perform the risk assessment procedure. Auditor must perform the risk assessment procedure in order to assess risk of material misstatement in the financial statement of the company. However, in the case of Stagecoach, PwC failed to done a precise risk assessment procedure on the intragroup transaction between the Stagecoach with its subsidiary. PwC failed to question the management assertion made by Stagecoach in regards to their intragroup transactions, especially about the occurrence and accuracy of the intragroup transaction. Stagecoach has manipulated the intragroup transaction to create the complex tax avoidance scheme in order to wipe up $11 million from their tax bill. Suggestion given to the PwC is they should have conduct physical inspections directly to the subsidiary of Stagecoach in order to obtain sufficient amount of accounting records to done the auditing process.
Now we're moving to the point maintaining competence and improving performance. Competence is defined as capacity to utilize professional knowledge and skills to provide professional service. For the auditor mistake, EY failed to meet primary goals of providing reasonable assurance that Stagecoach Group financial statements were free from material misstatement, which require in 3 areas of auditing. First, the company defined the beneficiary scheme obligation. Second, provision of accident-related insurance claims. And third, restrictive contract provision on one of Stagecoach rail franchise. Therefore, EY should increase their knowledge that can be implemented in practice to the greatest degree possible. Making the most of expertise will certainly increase their expertise. Next, communication between auditor and client. Communication is critical, particularly during audit engagement. This standard requires the auditor to contact with the company's audit committee about specific audit-related issues and to acquire audit-related information from the audit committee. For the auditor mistake, EY failed to communicate clearly to the audit committee the disparity between management methodology and that used by audit team was significant. Aside from that, EY has been criticized by the audit committee for failing to ensure that its audit procedures were in accordance with generally accepted accounting standards and failed to explain how they might reconcile. To thrive in their profession, EY as an auditor must do their part by interacting with their clients prior to ensuring the report.
Next, the auditor also responsible to perform the audit procedure. Auditor must perform this audit procedure to collect the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence to support their opinion in financial statements. EY has been fined for €2.2 million for failing in its audit of Stagecoach mainly in 3 areas, which are pension liability provisions for accident-related insurance claim and onerous contract provisions. This audit failure happened because EY failed to design the appropriate audit procedure, and this led to the insufficient appropriate audit evidence. Besides, EY also failed to apply the professional skepticism when auditing these 3 areas of auditing because it's involved a high level of management assumptions. The suggestion given to EY is to recalculate the valuations of pension liability provisions for accident-related insurance claim and the contract provision. Besides, auditors are also responsible to follow the Code of Ethics when performing their duties. According to the Code of Ethics proposed by Malaysia Institute of Accountant, the professional behavior is one of the fundamental principles that should be followed by the auditor when performing their duties. But in the case of Stagecoach, the KPMG has failed to maintain the professional behavior when performing their duties because KPMG has assisted Stagecoach to create the complex tax avoidance schemes to eliminate 11 millions of the tax bill from the Stagecoach account. This clearly shows to us that KPMG is marketing their service by guaranteeing the client to save tax, which shows the unprofessional behavior. And it also violates the UK tax statute. It is also believed that the personal self-interest could be the threat that drive the KPMG to conduct this unprofessional behavior.
The second fundamental principle that must follow by the auditor is objectivity, which defines that auditor must not compromise their judgment due to bias, conflict of interest, or undue influence from others. EY failed to apply proper professional skepticism and assess the probability of managerial bias in regard to Stagecoach approach to bond declaration. Significantly, the value of the bond was not included in the computation of the provision due to EY arguments that there were not avoidable expenses under the franchise agreement and hence did not fall under the recognition and measurement of accounting standards. By producing the objective economic accounts, auditor must operate between the employee's management, purchaser, and the public. Instead, it will undermine the reputation of accounts. Next, moving to the Code of Ethics Integrity. According to the Code of Ethics proposed by MIA, integrity is one of the fundamental principles need to be followed by auditor when performing auditing. However, EY failed to maintain professional integrity in their job because they failed to examine the completeness and quality of the source data made available to Patients Advisory Group in this case. As a result, the audit team was unable to provide timely observation to the audit committee or develop appropriate two-way contact with it. Therefore, by consulting an integrity value, EY should conduct their tasks for the organization honestly. They are required to adhere to the company's policy decision procedure.
Group Scandal, a complicated tax avoidance plan adopted by Group to save millions on its tax payment, was dismissed, which was created with the help of tax professionals at KPMG, was found to be in violation of tax evasion legislation while EY failed in its audit of the group's financial statements. The group would go bankrupt and the reputation will be affected if the incident was not sufficiently explained, owing to the group's requirement to pay a fine to the FRC. It's because the EY audit firm, not the group, failed to obtain enough relevant audit evidence and apply enough professional skepticism in several key aspects of the audit. So everyone in an organization has a responsibility to play in order to avoid mistakes. External auditors should be proactive in raising red banners for the company's misbehavior while also avoiding guaranteeing financial performance to other parties because auditors do not provide 100% assurance, just reasonable assurance. As a result, the company should disclose enough material for an external auditor firm to reduce errors and maintain integrity by adhering to the law. Thank you.